Okay, so Be'ezras Hashem, we're continuing with our weekly shir on the Zohar HaKadosh and trying to illuminate the Torah of Moshe Rabbeinu with the Torah of Rabbi Shimon and Rabbi Shimon with Moshe Rabbeinu to connect to the innermost Pnimius HaDavarim with the external shape of things so that we can unify the inner and the outer, the Maisa with the Kavana. And again, that's why in Sefer Devarim we found so far, that a lot of the Zohar Kadosh is oriented to the Rayim Hemna, to the secret of the Pikudin, to the secret of illuminating Maisa HaMitzvos with the inner content of meaning, of depth, of the secrets themselves. In the Rayim Hemna, when it comes to the Maisa HaMitzvos, what we encounter each and every time is the deep secret of Ratza Kadosh Baruch Hu Lios Ladir B'Tachtonim. That ultimately is the Balatanya is Megala to us, and the Rashash is Megala to us, and the Gra is Megala to us, and the Ramchal is Megala to us, and the Baal Shem Tov HaKadosh is Megala to us. The Ikr Nakuda in this world is for a Jewish individual to refine the lowly nature of this worldly experience and to elevate it back up to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. It's not enough for HaKadosh Baruch Hu to be revealed in the Shir Pashat, which is the Olam HaAtzilus, which is always unified. It's not enough to reveal HaKadosh Baruch Hu in the Shir Kafel, which is the doubled song of drawing the light of Atzilus into Bria. It's not enough to be Megala the Shir Meshulash, which is drawing down from Atzilus into Bria, into Yetzirah itself, but the Iker is the Shir Meruba, which is drawing it down from Atzilus, Bria, Yetzirah into Asiya itself, which is the Guf, which is the body, which is this worldly orientation, this worldly experience, and from within the confines of my own Basar, from within my Basari, from the secret of Busha, Sricha, and Rima, as the Sayyid Yisharim points out, that the Basar of the individual itself, like we said, is the element of Gehenim, and it's specifically from there that the Tchiyah has to come from. This is the ultimate secret of Tchiyah Samesim, that Ratzah Kadosh Baruch Hu Lios Ladir B'Tachtonim, that we get sent out from Gan Eden not because the body needs to rot, God forbid, in the poisonous world of outside Gan Eden, but rather so that we can draw down the air of Gan Eden and illuminate the polluted air of outside of Gan Eden, and to revive the guf with the neshama itself, to allow the guf to be mahapech into the teacher of the neshama. That's the ikr when it comes to Maisa HaMitzvos, that the pu'ula is fundamental, and that is the end-all be-all of bringing it into the ground. This is the secret of Moshe Rabbeinu entering in to Eretz Yisrael. And very simply put, this is the secret of tshuva of the guf. This is the refinement of the individual, as we spoke about last night in the shir on Idraraba and the Adir Bamarom. The body itself keeps score. It keeps score of the pain of the past, and it also keeps score of the illumination that will be revealed in the future. And it's betwixt and between. It's this noga. It's this in-between place that is really a katnas or with an aleph, like Rabbi Meir writes, because Rabbi Meir understood the secret of being mezachich, metatron, and acher, and understanding the secret of elevating the guf into a place of refinement. But because we've lost ability to hold on to that aleph, where the illumination of the body comes through, when we come to terms with the fact that we're just a merkava to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, and we're stuck with the katnas or with an ayin, which is the secondary level of our orientation to embodiment, which is post-chet, which is where the body seems to be operating in direct opposition to the neshama itself, and it's a battle between the guf and the neshama. But there's a secret of katnas or with an aleph, which is the Torah of Rabbi Meir, which is Ruach HaPeinu Mashiach Hashem, is Rosh Tevos Meir, which is the Torah of Shabbos, which is able to understand what matat is. It's able to understand the guf. It's able to understand teva in this world, and it's able to say rimon matzah tochal achal v'klipas zarak, that he ate the rimon and he was able to throw out that which was external and grab hold of that which is internal, because the rimon matzah is the secret of Metatron. He grabbed hold of the body and he transformed the body, the katnas or with an ayin, which is klipas noga, into an or with an aleph, which is the secret of the chashmal ha'elyon, which is the secret of the tzimtzum that's maskala, where the guf itself becomes the guf hadavar, becomes the edus itself, and we transform the concealment and the thickness of this world into the garden itself, into the secret of Gan Eden. And what does it mean that Rabbi Meir was able to say Rimon Matzah Tochal Achol the Klipaso Zarak? That Metatron, we understand, represents the fullness of the worlds of separation, Bria, Tzira, and Asiya, which are ultimately like the guf to the world of Atzilus Kavyachol. And so there's going to be gradations. There's going to be the mem of Metatron, which is going to be correspondent to the world of Bina, which is the world of Bria, which is not so schwer. It's possible to find the Kadosh Baruch Hu through contemplation. The Roin of Mashiach is going to represent, of Metatron is going to represent the Olam Ha'asiya, which we spoke about with Rabbi Nachman and Rabbi Shimon, where he came to Meron, and Rabbi Shimon says Miron, and Rabbi Nachman says Aniron, in the secret of Haroin v'Haroimimus l'chaya Eilamim, taking that lowest place of Malchus and bringing it back up to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. But the Mem and the Ron, which is the Rimon, is the most difficult part. Bria and Asiya are both Choshech. Those are places of concealment. The Choshech of Bina is because of its lofty heights and we can't grasp it other than by way of Choshech. And the Choshech of Asiya is the loneliness of this worldly experience. So the Rimon Matzah, that's the world of Bria and Asiya, which are difficult to be Mavara. But Tocho Achol Klipasa Zarak, he got rid of the Reish and the Mem, the Ron and the Mem, which is the Rimon, which is the secret of Meron, which is the difficult avoda of Bir Haguf, and he grabbed hold of the innermost point, which is the Tess and the Tess of Metatron, which represents itself in the Olam of Yisiro, which is the place of illumination, the place of emotional connection, the place of mitzvos maisios, and drawing down the Torah of Zer Anpin into Malchus. And in that place, he was able to be mataking the pnimius of Matat, which is the tough and the tough, which is the Tess and the Tess, which is the secret of Chaya Olamim, and Baruch Sha'amar V'Haya Ha'olam, and accessing that place of Chai HaChayim and tapping into the depth of the connection. So at that place, he was able to refine the Rimon. And that was the secret of Rabbi Meir, who was able to transform the Katnas Or with an Ayin into a Katnas Or with an Aleph. But we see that the more a person feels the body, the more a person is experiencing the pain of being a human being in Olam HaAsiya with all of the tzimtzumim and the natural necessities of the body, the more we come to be Mezachich that place, the more we come to be Mezachich the Shir Meruba, the lower down it goes, the harder the work gets, and the harder the work gets, the more effort needs to be placed. But the more effort that's placed, the deeper the illumination that comes out through the secret of that I can push myself further and express effort even in places that I feel I can't express effort. And then not only is the neshama of a person made on their connection to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, but the body itself keeps score of the connection to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. That the body itself intuits the natural responsibility of serving HaKadosh Baruch Hu, like Avram, Yitzchak, and Yaakov, like we see by the Akedah, that Avram had to be sholeach es yado, that the guf of the tzaddikim is nesapich into the merkava, where the nahi is oile to the chagas, and the secret of the sheish that we discussed in Adir Bamarom, and where the lowest part of the body, the habituated state of the body and the habits of the body, is elevated back up to the emotional space of the body, where emotions and the murgash can express itself within the mutva, within the habituated nature, and we can elevate the secondary nature of the body. And then we have two witnesses that testify to our connection to Hashem, not just the neshama, which testifies to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, but the guf also testifies to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And that's the secret of Eilamecha Tir B'chayecha, to see our world from within our concealment, to rectify our guf in the secret of Mafli La'atzos, and the secret of Netilas Yadayim, and Asher Yatzer, where we have the ability of serving HaKadosh Baruch Hu b'guf, something that the Malachei Elyon have no capacity to do. The secret of Rosh Hashanah, where we're Mamlech HaKadosh Baruch Hu on our guf itself, as opposed to the Malachim, who could only be Mamlech HaKadosh Baruch Hu in the element of the Neshama. And this is the double testimony. This is the 2 times a day that we have to say Shema. We're made on the illumination of the Neshama at the day, and we're made on the illumination of the body at night. As the Rebbe Shlita brought down in Yutes Kislev a number of years ago, that there's a stira that can be found. On the one hand, we see that Metatron is the Rebbe of Moshe Rabbeinu. On the other hand, we see that Matat is the secret of the Guf of Moshe Rabbeinu. So how can we have a yichud between these two stira? How can something be the body and the Guf, the body and the teacher? Elama, the body is the teacher, and the body is the katnus that a person goes through, the concealment that a person goes through in this world. And when a person enables themselves to draw the bracha out of that place, like the Commander Rebbe said in Parshas Re'eh, that the kolala itself is just that which has not been nishapich into a bracha yet, so then we have the ability of being Megala Kadosh Baruch Hu in both places, by the secret of Matat being the teacher, as well as the body itself. So Zakt, the Heilige Zohar Kadosh, and the Chelik of Raya Mehemna. Pasuk says, Apishnei Edem Yikum Adavar, that the davar, this worldliness, davar, which is the body itself, that which can be seen, it will be grasped by way of 2 Edem, 2 witnesses. Lo yakum al pei echad. But one witness is not enough. That's like we saw in the Ijraba and the Adir Bamarom from the Ramchal, that a person needs the doubled nature of connection. Not only the one level of connection, but the double. To begin da ukma mari masnisa, and as a result of this rule that a person needs 2 Edim, so Chazal have determined mi meir al ha'adam, who is going to testify on the individual, who are the 2 Edim that the individual will always have that testifies to their connection to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Kiros Beso, it's the walls of their home. The walls of their home, the physical reality of this world, as we're going to see. That's where the edus of the person's relationship to HaKadosh Baruch Hu is going to come from. My embodiment, the Kav Haruvin, which is Rosh Tevos Kiros Beso, that place of the body itself, and the secret of the tzaddik and the illumination of the guf, which is the secret of Rav Chanina ben Dosa, and the Kav Haruvim Shalo. The body is a charuv, it's an Inyan charuv, but the tzaddikim have the ability of transforming it into the secret of the Kav Haruvin, like we saw by Rashbi the Chaverov. Below Od, Ela Anshe Beso Me'idan Alav. It's not just the walls of the house, but it's also going to be the people of the house. It's not just how a person functions between them and themselves in their own home, but it's also going to fundamentally be revealed in the way that a person functions by way of their relationship with the members of their home. A person in their home, a person in this world is expressing itself in two ways: between them and themselves and between them and other. And both are going to be fundamental points of testimony to the relationship that a person has with HaKadosh Baruch Hu, not just their own home, but the people in their own home as well. That's where the testimony is going to come from this worldly experience. My kiros base. So what does it mean the walls of a person's home are going to testify on them, on their experience in this worldliness, on the embodied experience? Inun kiros libo. These are the walls of a person's heart, meaning to say it is the emotional space in which we receive the messages of the heart, and we allow ourselves to open ourselves up to the heartful experience of vulnerable openness to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. That vulnerability, the walls of my heart, are going to be the things that come to testify on the way that I allowed HaKadosh Baruch Hu into my heart. As the Kotzker Rebbe said, he's there wherever we let him in. The Yisav Chizkiyahu Panav El Hakir. This is learned out from the secret of Chizkiyahu, who turned his face to the wall. He turned his face to the wall to daven, and it wasn't necessarily the walls of his house, but Ukma Rabbanan, and Chazal taught us Malamid Shehispalel Chizkiyahu Mekirios Libo, that Mekirios Libo, that the walls of the home are also representative of the walls of the heart, meaning the embodied state of thinking and dwelling in this world within my emotional capacity, within my neshama itself. That is going to be the determinant factor of the testimony of how I lived my life. It's not only the walls of the house, and it's not only the orientation to above, but it's going to be the walls of my heart, my own embodied state in this world. Anshe Beso, and what's Anshe Beso? Inan Ramach Evarin Delay. It's the 248 limbs of the individual. It's not just the illuminated emotional body. It's not only the autobiographical self, which is the secret of Kiros Libo, but it's also the body itself, the shape of the body. Ramach Evarim, the 248 Evarim delayed, the Hachi Ukma Mari de Masnisan, because this is how it was taught in Chazal. Rasha Avanoisav Chakukim al Atzmoisav, the Hachi Tzadik Zuchuyoisav Chakukim Lo al Atzmoisav. That we see that Chazal have already told us that when a person functions in a state of transgression, when a person is engaged in destructive behaviors or living a destructive type of life where the body has kept score of all of the wounds that it carries, so the sins and the transgressions are engraved within the bones themselves, meaning to say that the osios, they're engraved, the burden and the trauma is carried by the body itself. The body maintains the engraving of all of those cuts and wounds that laid us down until we cried out in anger and shame, and it's engraved upon the body. It's engraved upon the body. The body keeps score. Those avoinos are chakukim, the trauma is engraved upon the body itself. But at the same point, so is the schus that a person engages in. When it comes to a tzaddik, zuchuyoisav chakukim lo al atzmosav. The mitzvos are chakuk on the etzem, that the body itself becomes the site where the osios haTorah are mislabish in this world. And this is the sikha that Rabbi Nachman says when it comes to vidui devarim, kichu imachem devarim, v'shuvu al Hashem. When we say Hashem nebaganu gazalnu, what we're doing is we're taking all of the osios and all of the osios that are chakuk on our atzamos, that are engraved upon our bones, and we're bringing them to the tzaddik, we're bringing them to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, we're being mizvada, we're opening our mouths and allowing those engraved letters of the difficult score that the body keeps. Nothing tells the story quite as well as the burden of the body itself. As the Heiliger of Pinchas Kartzer said, that a person, in accordance with their face, in accordance with the tsura of their face, the wrinkles on their face that represent what they've carried in this world, so too a person is going to come to behold the Ruach HaKodesh that each and every person holds. The body keeps score one way or the other, and either it's going to keep score of the destruction or it's going to keep score of the illumination. Begin kach, and as a result of this, Amar David HaMelech says, Kol atzmoisai toimarna, all of my bones shall declare your praise. My etzem, my literal etzem, the body itself, the embodiment in this world, when I carry myself to the base medrash, when I carry myself to pick up the extra piece of garbage, when I push my body to overcome the desire for the soda and I drink the water, whatever it is, the body keeps score of that illumination. And that's why David Malka Mashiach, the secret of Malchus, is teaching us this. That's the secret of dancing. Dancing is something that utilizes the entire body. Ubegina, and as a result of this secret, Itmar Umi Mi'idin al Ha'adam, this is the secret of who comes to testify upon the person. Koros Beso, Garben Benuyin al Moicha, the bones that are surrounded, the skeletal system, the Moyach, the skull that contains the mind within it. The Ihu Maya, the mind is water. The mind is without shape, but the bones come and give shape to the human experience. The body gives shape. It becomes a receptacle in this world that can be a containment valve for the illumination of the neshama. Va'aleyu karemes, and this is the remes that Chazal say, Hamekare b'mayim el Yosef. There's a creation of these partitions within the ascendancy of water, within the ever-flowing nature of the mind. There is that secret of Melech Asur Berihitim, as we saw from the Ramchal, that the mind and its shape in the Golgalta, the mind, the skull, has the ability of maintaining and holding and creating a vessel for the illumination of the neshama, just as the Beis Hamikdash has the capacity to become a receptacle for the Shechina HaKadosh, Mekare Lashon Kirus, the language of spreading out a partition in water. And that secret of Tzimtzum is the language of walls, creating partitions in which a person will be able to draw down that profound experience of the soul into the body itself, so that the body can become a testimony to the presence of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. The amai begarmin yaser me basra v'gidin umishka. And why is it the bones of the individual that are going to testify more than the flesh of the individual, or the sinews of the individual, or the skin of the individual, all of which are the kelim chitzonium of the basar, gidin, atzmois, and the nefesh atzmos, and the etzem, that there's the 5 layers of the naran chai, of nefesh, ruach, neshama, chai, yechida, that find expression within the 5 layers of the body itself, which find expression in the 5 ways that a person functions in this world, and the secret of shenigla, which is the secret of the 5 gradations that the Arizal describes. Shenigla is shoresh, shoresh. I'm forgetting what the nun represents. Shoresh, the gimel is the guf, the lamed is the levush, and the hay is the heichal. So shenigla is shoresh, neshama, guf, levush, and heichal, those 5 layers in which the human being expresses themselves, the secret of their psyche, the secret of their mind, the secret of their body, the secret of the garments that they wear, the secret of the dwelling in which they take shape, and the secret of the surrounding area of their dwelling. Those 5 things become the receptacle, the makifim, for the 5 elements of the body, which are representative of the receptacles for the 5 layers of the soul, which are the merkava for the 5 partsufim, which are a merkava for the 5 elements of the Shem Havaya, which are representative of the Shem Havaya Bli Osios, which brings us back to the secret of Ephes Zulaso, where we draw all of it down back into the body itself. So why is it the bones more than any other part of the body? Begin the garmin inun chavirin. The reason is because the bones represent a certain whiteness, the moyach chavira kakaspa, the refinement, the purity that rests entrenched at the very core of all things. V'chsiva ukma v'loy ishtamuda ella migoy chaviru. And in order to come to a place of refining the darkness, it can only be through a place of lightness. Kegavna da'iraisa, just like the Torah, chaviru melago ukem melabar, that it's white and illuminated on the inside, but darkened externally. Ukam v'chivir, it's dark and light at the same time, like the body and like the bones, which represent the chavirin, the whiteness that will emerge outwards. Choshech v'or, dark and light. V'is choshech tchelas. But within choshech, there's a secret of tchelas. The itmar bay, and on tchelas it says, gam choshech lo yashkech, that even darkness is not going to be darkened, because the tchelas is a blackness that gets transformed into a deep blue, and the secret again of elevating the lowest level, which is the tachlis, which is the tchelas, which is the secret of dimyon, to imagine from within our human situatedness the transcendent ideals. That's the secret of tchelas. Tchelas is doime liyam, the yam is doime the rakia is doime to the kisei hakavod. And so we see that tcheles is the process of imaginative abstraction from the body itself upwards towards a place of shemayim. So that first and foremost there's tcheles, then there's going to be the yam, then there's going to be the rikia, then there's going to be the kisei. That is Chris, that's the chaf, the resh, the yud, and the tuf, which is the secret of bris kris le'enayim, that there's a bris that's formed with the eyes, which is the opening of the body itself. The body is represented through the illumination of the eyes itself, the enayim, which is the secret of the lave is tali in what the enayim sees, and the body is tali in what the heart feels, which is all tali in the enayim, which is the secret of chachma, and bris kris le'enayim is the secret of Kisei, Rekia, Yam, and Tcheles in that process of elevating and abstracting back from our imagination, and the secret of Misha Yakir Bena Tcheles Lakarti, because Tcheles is the thing itself, and Karti is the imaginative principles that emerge, but this is the secret of the Choshech being transformed into a place of connection. Be'itmar Bey, Gam Choshech Leyashkech Mimcha. There's not going to be a darkness that darkens. Why? Because Tcheles Ukam Ihu, Nukva Lagabi Chiviru, because Tcheles represents the secret of darkness, which serves as the feminine receptivity of the whiteness of the spirit itself. And it's going to be the body itself that's going to stand up through the bones themselves. That's the secret of Tchias HaMesim. This is why it's engraved on the bones, the most irreducible part, in the Etzem Haluz, the lowest place that a person can go to, that which remains after all things, that's the place that Tchias HaMesim is going to come from, the guf itself, the dir b'tachtonim. And if a person is meritorious, and everybody will be meritorious, because the Dorsha Rishumos are the one who say that even Klal Yisrael don't have a chelik in Olam Haba, will have a chelik in Olam Haba, because they're able to uncover the engraved tracings upon the bones themselves, and the secret of the Atzamos, and the secret of Atzmus. And in that place, the bones themselves, the ilav lo yakum. But if a person doesn't, God forbid, which is not a real reality, if a person is a yid, then they're not going to experience the illumination of Tchias HaMesim. But again, that's not a possibility. Train sahadin inun abranash ayin royev oizen shema'as. And in the end, we also know that these two witnesses, the body, the house, the way that I interact with my family, that's also going to be reflective of the secret of the eyes and the heart. Like we said, that the eyes, which are the secret of Einayim, that bris kris la'inayim, that imaginative abstraction from the body itself through the mind's eye, through the capacity of histaklos oisakli, as we saw in Rabbi Nachman and Torah Ayin Vav last week, and that's the secret of drawing down the light of above, down below, the secret of Maisa Mitzvos, the secret of Shoftim v'shoitrim titan l'cha b'chol sharecha, as the Hilgah Shlah HaKadosh points out, that means placing the guidance of the mind and the spirit above all of the places of the body, those openings of the body that look outwards, that draw inwards, that engage with the outside world. A person has to have shoftim v'shoitrim. A person has to tame the body. A person has to tame and domesticate the body prior to the body becoming a receptacle of the illumination of above. And when a person is able to be miskabel arucham and to understand the secret of nafshi, of maflilas, or shemakasha ruchni begashmi, then a person begins to understand the secret of the guf, how the guf is made, and how tshuva begins with the guf, and the secret of kichu imachem devarim v'shuvu el Hashem be'ezras Hashem.